A Minnesota family turned fake pregnancies into a massive payday, siphoning, what, $250,000 from taxpayers before the feds finally caught on?
Yeah, it creates a situation where the safety net is effectively looted, and the people paying for it, I mean, the working class, are left holding the empty bag.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a case that just wrapped up in federal court in February 2026. It involves Latasha Thomas, her daughter Ambrosia, and a relative named Cynthia.
And this really isn't just a story about theft. It's a masterclass in how, specific loopholes in the welfare state can be exploited if you have enough audacity and, well, a printer.
We're pulling from court documents, Department of Justice press releases, and reporting from outlets like Town Hall and Alpha News. And that headline number is the first thing that grabs you.
$325,159.
Wow.
That's the amount of S&AP benefits, what we all used to call food stamps, that this trio managed to pull from the system over 2 years.
And just to set the stage here, Latasha Thomas was sentenced to 12 months in federal prison for this. We're going to get into whether that punishment, fixed the crime later on, but the mission for this deep dive is to really reverse engineer the scam.
Right. Because this was not an accident.
No.
It wasn't a clerical error. This was a business. It was a full-blown conspiracy. You had 3 people running a coordinated attack on the Hennepin County Social Services Department.
And what's terrifying is how simple the mechanics of it all were. I mean, they didn't hack a mainframe or bribe a senator.
No, they just used the system's own desire to be accessible against it.
Okay, so let's start with the setup, because this is where the audacity really kicks in. Usually when we talk about identity fraud, we're thinking about stealing someone's social security number, pretending to be your neighbor or something.
But that's not what the Thomas family did.
Yeah.
No, they went the creative writing route. They just invented entirely new people. They created what are called synthetic identities, names that just don't exist, attached to birth dates that do, but link to their own real faces.
This is the part that blows my mind. The DOJ indictment details how they manufactured fake Minnesota temporary driver's licenses.
The paper ones.
The paper ones. Yeah, anyone who's been to the DMV knows that piece of paper you get before the plastic card comes in the mail. It looks official, but it's basically just a printout.
And that is the weak point. They put their own photos on these documents, but use names like Sofia Gold or other fabrications. Then they just walked into the county offices or, submitted them online and said, this is who I am.
And it was accepted.
It was accepted. Because the system is designed to reduce barriers to entry, that temporary license was taken as valid proof of identity.
So step 1 is become someone else. Step 2 is maximize the payout. If you're just a single healthy adult, S&P benefits are pretty limited. There are work requirements, time limits.
All sorts of things. But the Thomas family found the cheat code to bypass all of that. And this is what we're calling the high-risk ruse.
The high-risk ruse.
To get the maximum amount of cash and food benefits, you need to show that you can't work and that you have high nutritional needs. So they claimed the applicants, these fake women, were pregnant.
And not just pregnant. They claim they had high-risk pregnancies and were on strict bedrest. That detail is so crucial.
Oh, it's everything. Bedrest is the magic word in the Department of Human Services manual. It effectively shuts down the interrogation.
Right.
If a vulnerable pregnant woman claims she can't leave her bed, caseworkers are trained to prioritize immediate aid over, rigorous scrutiny. It exempts them from work requirements. It stops the clock on how long they can get benefits.
It just opens the floodgates.
Completely. For the maximum monthly payment.
But you can't just say, I'm on bed rest. You need a doctor's note, right?
And that's where the forgery factory kicked into high gear. They didn't just fake the IDs, they manufactured fake medical notes. From real clinics, too.
So they created a whole paper reality.
A perfect paper reality. To the caseworkers sitting at a desk in Hennepin County, looking at a file, everything looked correct. There was an ID, a medical prognosis. There was a reason the person couldn't come in for an interview. It was a perfectly constructed lie.
And it worked for 2 years. But they had a logistical problem, right? If you invent 10 different women, you need 10 different places to send the EBT cards.
You'd think so. You can't just have 20 cards showing up at one house without raising a red flag. Or maybe you can.
So they solved that with what you called the Roseville headquarters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cynthia Thomas lived in an apartment in Roseville, Minnesota. But she wasn't living there as Cynthia. She was living there under the alias Sofia Gold.
Which is one of the fake names on the cards.
Even the landlord thought she was Sofia Gold. But the real smoking gun was found by postal inspectors. When the feds finally raided the place, they looked inside the secure mailbox. the side only the mail carrier sees.
And what did they find?
Instructions, taped right inside the box. Notes telling the mail carrier, please deliver mail for fake name A, fake name B, and fake name C to this unit.
No way.
Yes. They were essentially recruiting the United States Postal Service as unwitting mules for their fraud ring.
That is bold. You're literally leaving a written confession inside your own mailbox.
Okay.
Okay, but let's talk about the money. We said $325,000. I mean, I have 3 teenage boys, our grocery bill is high, but I don't think I could spend that much on food in 2 years if I tried.
Physically, you cannot eat that much. And this brings us to the commercial aspect of the crime. This was not about feeding a family.
No, this was about fencing a commodity.
They treated these EBT cards like debit cards loaded with free cash, and they sold a balance. The black market for EBT is huge.
And the sources describe this rental system.
Right. Latasha or Cynthia would find a customer. The customer needs, say, $400 worth of groceries. They give the customer the Sofia Gold card and the PIM.
The customer goes to the store, loads up the cart steaks, seafood, whatever, swipes the card, and leaves. Then they bring the card back.
And here's the kicker. They pay the Thomas family cash, but they only pay 50 to 60 cents on the dollar.
So for my $400 grocery trip, I hand Latasha maybe $200 cash.
Roughly, yes. It's an arbitrage trade. The customer gets half-price groceries, the Thomas family gets clean, untraceable cash, and the taxpayer pays full price, plus administrative costs.
This wasn't a side hustle. To fence that much money, you're talking about moving serious volume. That is thousands of grocery trips.
It creates a secondary economy. Think about the scale of it. $325,000 divided by 24 months. That's about $13,500 a month in stolen benefits.
$13,500 a month.
And if they're selling that for 50 cents on the dollar, they are pulling in nearly $7,000 a month in cash, tax-free. That is a mid-level management salary paid for by people waking up at 6 a.m. to go to work.
Which brings us to the conservative critique of how we police this, because clearly the point of sale is broken. If I use my credit card, sometimes they check the signature. But you have people using EBT cards with fake names, and nobody's batting an eye.
Well, think about self-checkout. There's no human verification there anymore. And even at a register, clerks are often told not to confront customers using EBT cards to avoid, accusations of discrimination or causing a scene.
So it's an honor system.
It's an honor system operating in a dishonest world.
Yeah.
The system assumes if you have the card and the PN, you're the authorized user.
It's that access over security mindset again. We make it easy to use, which just makes it incredibly easy to fence. And the cost of that trade-off is $325,000 in this one case alone.
Exactly.
So the feds finally catch on. Latasha Thomas pleads guilty. She's sentenced in February 2026, and the sentence is 12 months.
1 year. 12 months in federal prison, and then 1 year of supervised release.
I have to stop you there. We just did the math. She stole $350,000. She ran a criminal enterprise. And she gets a year. That's what, 4 months for every $100,000 stolen?
Feels incredibly light, doesn't it? If you embezzled that much from a private company or robbed a bank, you'd be looking at significantly more time. But welfare fraud is often treated as a needs-based crime by the courts.
Even when it's clearly a greed-based enterprise like this one.
Right. And Cynthia Thomas, the one with the headquarters apartment.
Which she kept.
3 years of probation, 0 prison time.
That is baffling. Now, the judge did order Latasha to pay full restitution, the full $325,159. But let's be real. What are the chances the U.S. Treasury ever sees that money?
Statistically, almost 0. These defendants are likely legally indigent. They don't have assets to seize. You can't get blood from a stone. So that restitution order, it's just a piece of paper. It looks good in a press release, but the taxpayer already lost that money. It's gone.
This feeds into a broader frustration people have. We saw comments on the allotments subreddit, and people were furious. They're not just mad about the money, they're mad about the systemic incompetence.
It's the feeling that the government is just playing with monopoly money. There's a verified system called IEVS, the Income and Eligibility Verification System. It's supposed to match Social Security numbers and wages to catch exactly this kind of stuff.
So why didn't it stop Sofia Gold?
Because the human override, the acceptance of that temporary paper license, likely bypassed the automated checks. If you enter the system with a verified ID, even a fake one, the computer assumes the data is valid. Our high-tech filters are useless if the front door is left unlocked.
And this isn't an isolated incident in Minnesota. We have to mention the Feeding Our Future scandal.
That is the elephant in the room, a massive scheme where nonprofits claim to be feeding millions of non-existent children during the pandemic. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's the same pattern.
Identical. The government lowered barriers to get money out fast. They stopped verifying things. They took people at their word because they wanted to be equitable and accessible. And fraudsters drove a truck right through that open door.
It's a structural problem. The DHS manual is hundreds of pages long. It's obsessed with client rights and ensuring nobody is wrongfully denied. But when you prioritize those goals over basic verification of identity, you get the Thomas family.
And that hurts the truly needy. That's the part that's often ignored. Every dollar stolen by the Thomas family is a dollar that isn't going to a struggling senior or a family that actually fell on hard times. It destabilizes public trust.
It poisons the well.
It does. When taxpayers see $325,000 just vanish with a slap on the wrist penalty, they stop supporting these programs entirely.
It really makes you wonder about the unseen numbers. This is just one family. They got caught because they were, frankly, sloppy, using one mailbox, leaving notes.
That's the frightening takeaway. The Thomas family were not criminal geniuses. They were persistent, but they left a paper trail a mile wide.
So here's the question that should keep you up at night. If 3 people with a printer could steal $325,000 before anyone noticed, how much are the smart ones stealing?
If you have a sophisticated ring, moving across state lines, using better fakes, and not leaving notes in mailboxes, the number could be in the billions. And with sentences like 12 months, the smart criminals are looking at this and saying, I like those odds.
A high-return, low-risk investment for them, and a guaranteed loss for the rest of us.
Exactly. And until we demand verification first and distribution second, we are just financing our own robbery.
A sobering thought to end on. That wraps up this deep dive into the high-risk ruse. Take a look at your pay stub this week and ask yourself how much of that tax deduction went to Sofia Gold. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.